Sports Night Amplified with Andile on Metro FM. Monday through Friday, 6 to 7 p.m. Game over.
The state of refereeing is very disappointing, but not for the first time. 4 seasons ago, I spoke about it. So it didn't seem anyone was prepared to listen. Even the media never drove it to any direction. Now that some of our best teams have been affected by this, only now that everyone wants to talk about it. It's been like this. Is it part of our culture or what is it? You know, there are people who should know this. And there are people, by the way, who will be held to account one day for this kind of a situation. I've got no doubt about it. It's been like this for years. Ever since we became, Teskala came a professional team, we saw it in the NFD. We saw lots of countless, right? So it's not a new situation. It's just that now, by God's doing, probably, he has exposed it in via the big clubs. They've become affected, so now it's a concern. And at the same time, there's no consistency. Teskala plays, has achieved, Santi handles in the box. No one says a word about it. In our saving grace that we won the game, no one is worried. But if there's, our big clubs the next week or so, they become affected, there's an outcry about it. So I'm saying to the media, let's try to be consistent. Let's try to be informed. Let's try to be very educated about the game. Let's follow every club. Let's not be just fans so that we just react to situations when our teams becomes affected or preferred teams become affected. But the situation has been here for many years. I can tell you that for free. Right? So solution? Sure. When a rot is deep-rooted, it becomes very difficult. It can take years rather than months to resolve it.
Sometimes I let it play a little bit longer than I should. I really do enjoy it. It takes me back to those days when I still believed in wrestling, when I still believed in WWE, when I still thought this is a thing. But yeah, long gone are those days alongside with my youth. Welcome to it. Thank you so much for joining us at Sports Night Amplified with Andile. Matt Al holding it down with the touchdown team. Thank you to them. They do it again tomorrow between 3 and 6. Ivory Coast is the scene of many Africans and broadcasters like myself, etc., having descended upon the country and Abidjan in particular for the big draw that is happening, tomorrow or Thursday? Thursday. That is happening on Thursday. We'll give you all the details and hopefully we'll be able to get some big interviews as well from everybody that's come here. I know from a South African perspective, Dr. Denny Jordan will be there representing South Africa to see who we will be drawing in our AFCON feat. A little bit earlier today, there was a draw for something else. The big trophy, the new trophy, the latest newcomer to South African football. And I took a look at what it looks like as far as the draw is concerned. And I'm sure a lot of people are happy to have kept the so-called big dogs apart. Keep them apart from each other so that they could see bigger games. It was great to see the sort of finals that we're seeing with packed stadiums. So maybe that was something. I'll tell you all about that draw. Maybe perhaps do it now so we can get into the cricket and the rugby. Kukune to play Royal AM, Supersport Polokwane, Chipa to play Stellenbosch, Kaizer Chiefs play Amazulu, Orlando Pirates play Cape Town Spurs, Sundowns play TS Galaxy, Richards Bay play Moroka Swallows, and Golden Arrows play Cape Town City. Orlando Pirates have not lost a trophy in the last year. They haven't. 3 trophies that the coach has played for. He's won all 3. So it's going to be interesting to see how the season plays out. We're going to go to, where are we going? Hyderabad. Where is that? In the heart of India, yeah? It's called Hyderabad. That's where we're going to be going because Kass Naidoo is there to give us an update on all things cricket. And then we're going to switch and speak to the guys that come on every single Tuesday, of course, to speak all things rugby. And we'll be welcoming in that matter Lawrence Sipaka and René Swart to speak all things Springboks taking on France, the home team. It's the champions versus the home team. One of them is out of the tournament after this weekend.
Sports Night Amplified with Andile on Metro FM. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
A great performance by the Proteas in their first and opening match of the World Cup. Aiden Markram recording the fastest century ever at an ICC Men's Cricket World Cup to help the Proteas thump Sri Lanka by 102 runs in their tournament opener at the Arun Jaitley Stadium in Delhi. This was on Saturday. South Africa's T20 international captain planted 14 fours and 3 sixes in a whirlwind 106, listen to this, of 54 balls, reaching 3 figures in only 49 bowls. And he wasn't the only one. 3 centurions in that game. Quinton de Kock as well. 184 bowls. It had 12 fours and 3 sixes in it. Rassie van der Duisen, he came in with 108 of 110 bowls. 13 fours and 2 sixes. To speak to us about all things cricket and Cricket World Cup is Kass Naidoo from Hyderabad. I don't know if I'm saying it correctly here, Kass.
Right. It's in Andhra Pradesh. So, almost correct.
I'm going to get there. How's it been, though? Talk to me before we even go there. I mean, you think of the Cricket World Cup in India. There could be nothing better. That is possibly one of the most cricket-loving countries in the world. It's a religion there. To host a World Cup, to be there during a World Cup, I can only imagine it's amazing.
It is a bucket list opportunity from a work perspective.
It really is, yeah.
I often say that there have been great moments in my career, and I appreciate each and every one as they've come. I don't think I was ready for this, because you're never ready for India. As you said, cricket is a religion here. Wherever you go, it's about cricket. Whatever they talk about, it's about cricket. Everyone's on digital. Everyone's watching something to do with cricket. I was at the airport the other day, and the Indian team were being ushered through. And I was wondering what the pandemonium was. And it was like a movie set. I mean, there were just people rushing after these guys. And I'd never seen something like that before. The World Cup itself has been pretty special. We've seen some exceptional performances, and I don't think I've been at a Proteas game where I've been more proud than being in Delhi and watching them hand Sri Lanka 102 run defeat. It was one of the best performances I've seen with them, from them with the bat in particular.
It was a great start to the tournament for the Proteas. I mean, there's questions to be asked about, peaking a little bit early. But what was it about that match? What was it about the Proteas? Why is it that we were that good? You look at how we've gotten into the tournament, the matches that we played before that. I didn't quite expect that we would be that good, that we would leave a gap that big. Was it the conditions that agreed with us? Are we just better prepared? Do we have the better squad?
I think you have to admit, first up, that Sri Lanka are missing a couple of their big bowling stars. But you still have to come out there and you've still got to dominate. And that's what South Africa did. We knew going into the World Cup that they had a powerful top six. But to see them turn it on the way they did was next level. And as commentators, we were sitting in the box saying, 370 would be a good score. And when you saw how Sri Lanka went about chasing it, if we scored 370, they probably would have chased it down. It was that good a wicket. But the way Aiden Markram played and the ferocious batting towards the end told us that South Africa mean business. It's not about peaking early. I think in previous World Cups, we've accused them of being half-baked going into a World Cup. But they went into this World Cup having beaten Australia 3-2. It was really good game time. Their warm-ups were washed out. That didn't matter. They just seemed to be in the zone. They'll look back at that match and say, perhaps when we were under pressure, when Sri Lanka was going at us, especially when Mendes was just carting the bowlers all over the park. But the bowlers were under pressure, and they would need to look at how to tighten up against Australia coming up on Thursday. The fielding wasn't up to scratch. But in the end, it didn't matter because it was a record-breaking match. It was the highest ever total in a World Cup match. As you mentioned, Aiden had the highest score by a player in the World Cup, 150 deliveries. It was something that I don't think South Africans were ready for. In fact, the running joke is, are they as good as the Springboks? Let's not even go there. The Springboks have won World Cup. They win World Cup. But what it's done, it's given a nation a reason to believe and to hope, and it's also allowed the Proteas to have a very healthy net run rate quite early in the tournament and kind of go toe-to-toe with New Zealand in terms of net run rate. How often have we been knocked out of major events because of net run rate?
It's that same hope that kills us a little bit later on, Kaz. I mean, I've seen it before, but you speak of these high runners. When you look at every batter on the day, Quinton de Kock obviously scoring his 100th, then you had Van der Dessen as well, Markram, Aiden with the 106, even Klaasen coming in with the 32, Miller with the 39. I think, who else was it that scored? I mean, those are all the guys that scored, and they scored well above run rate. They scored very well. And then there's Themba Bavuma. You needed him to start well with everything that he's gone through the last year. So you needed Themba to start well. You needed him to get the runs on the board, particularly on a wicket and on a team that allowed like that. But it wasn't to be, only scoring 8 or 5.
Yeah, and I think you're going to have batters that are going to have bad days. There are a couple of teams that have had top players who have just not been able to come to the party early on. But at the same time, I think when you look ahead to Australia coming up on Thursday in Lucknow, on a surface that nobody really knows how it's going to play, those are the kind of matches where Themba really comes into his own. He knows how to assess conditions. He's able to really stand up for the team. Andile, I don't know about you, but whether he scores 100 or makes a duck, he trends, right? There is something about Themba Bavuma that makes everybody talk about him. I know personally that whenever I see him bat and do well, I feel relief for him. Not even happiness, I feel relief. But then you go on to social media and he's still being attacked. So in terms of him being a brilliant leader, I've heard David Miller talk about just what a great leader he is and how good he is and how they back him as a team. So he shuts off the noise, and that will be his biggest strength in this World Cup, is to shut off the noise and get that one good knock under his belt. It is a long World Cup. Remember, the group stages end on the 10th of November. They play Afghanistan in their final game in Ahmedabad. So I don't think he's under pressure at all, but I do think the high standards he sets for himself, he'll be reassessing and thinking, well, how do I go about ensuring that I can live up to the expectations that I set for myself as Themba Bavuma?
The abuse that Themba has to go through. I mean, we often come here on the air to condemn a lot of that and, speak up against very, very bad abuse that he faces. I don't think any cricketer in the world faces abuse by his own people the way that Themba Bavuma has to deal with. But let's move to the Proteas with the ball. I think it was 2 wickets from Kagiso, 2 wickets from Maharaj as well. Jared Coetzee had 3 wickets on the day. Lungi with a single wicket after the 8 overs he bowled with 49 runs that he conceded. What do you make of how we were with the ball?
Listen, I mean, as I said, Sri Lanka came at South Africa and they were like well over 700 runs scored in that game. So everyone was going to go for runs. It was like as good as being a bowling machine on the day. But they will go back and they will assess, right, how they go about things. I'm backing Kagiso Rabada to really start coming good in this World Cup. Look at him and where he's come from and the fact that he's gone from under-19 World Cup all the way into the senior ranks, having to carry the baton for the team as the bowling attack leader. There's a couple of young guns in this World Cup. First World Cup, Jared Coetzee. There's a lot to learn. In the end, when we come to the spin department, many are talking up Keshav Maharaj and Tiberi Shamsi in this World Cup. So perhaps that's going to be the difference. But from a batting perspective, I think they sorted. I think from a bowling perspective, they certainly will be going back and having a look with Eric Simons, the bowling coach, who is well versed in Indian conditions because of IPL. Everyone's talking them up, and I'm kind of sitting at the back of the commentary box saying, I won't touch the money. I refuse to talk about a semi-final place because it's such an open World Cup. You've got England and India who are clear favourites, right, at the top. England back deep. India has 3 spinners. So everyone's got their bases covered. There are about 4 teams that are pushing into that top 4, and I think it's going to be a bun fight for a semi-final place. In the end, it's about getting your disciplines right on the day. I think being able to handle the pressure. You feel the pressure. You feel the pressure for teams. I mean, Sri Lanka are playing at the moment against Pakistan. And Sri Lanka made 3, 4, 4 for 9, and you think, what a great total. Pakistan are likely to chase this down to be the biggest run chase ever in World Cup history.
That opener.
There are records being broken in this World Cup. Hundreds are being scored. Things are happening so early in this competition. I just hope South Africa are able to get into the semi-finals because they have the team to go all the way, but so do other teams. Who is going to handle the pressure and the big moments will be the ones that will find themselves in the final on the 19th of November.
284 for 3 at the moment. They need 61 runs just off 47 balls is what they've got to do. Rizwan, who's on strike at the moment, 104 off 101 balls. So we'll see how that one goes. I'll keep you score updated as we go along. That opening match was such a great match. I mean, it was always going to be a disappointment, whoever it is that loses that match. New Zealand winning that by 9 wickets with 82 balls left, playing in England that was coming into this one of the favourites. For me, it said that New Zealand are a little bit apart from everyone at this moment, and I wonder about that favourites tag on New Zealand, but also India at home. They've got to be another favourites there. When you look at favourites on form, when you look at favourites on just being at the World Cup, the stature of the team, they've said New Zealand, England. Who do you think? Because I think you can't discount India.
You can't discount India, but playing in a home World Cup comes with heaps of pressure. And they've won, so everyone's on a high. The whole of India's on a high. Wherever they go, they ask you who's going to win. I just say India because I know it's a short conversation, right? If you say anybody else, they ask you, why isn't it India? I do think that it's India's World Cup to win. I do think that someone like England has a great opportunity. But you make such a good point on New Zealand because they are so good at coming in as the underdogs. But we all know they're one of the favorites. But they have this ease about themselves. In that opening game, what they said to the world is that we have more in the tank than you think we do. Look at Rachin Ravindra. He wasn't going to play on the eve of the World Cup opener. Lockie Ferguson pulls up with a hamstring injury. Rachin Ravindra comes in and scores 100 on World Cup debut. That nobody saw coming. They've still got Kane Williamson, who hasn't even had a game yet, and he's their premier batter. They've got a couple of good spinners in their team, Ish Sodhi and Mitchell Santner. In Indian conditions, they'll be really good. And let's not forget their new ball pairing of Trent Bowles and Matt Henry, who take wickets on the power play and put teams under pressure. So could it be an India-England final? Could it be an India-New Zealand final? That's what it looks like. I still think it's a long World Cup. It's about managing injuries. It's about managing the workload, managing the travel, because you're literally going from venue to venue. India, for instance, are playing at all 9 venues. So there's no rest. There's a lot at stake. There are a lot of moving parts. And I'm excited because you can't really call it. I heard Gary Kirsten calling it the most open World Cup. I tend to agree with him.
Kass, hopefully every time we get an opportunity, we'll be hanging out with you and getting a nice little report. All the best. Thank you so much. Love watching you do what you do on an international stage. Thank you for talking to us.
Always lovely to chat. Take care.
Kass Naidoo, she's all the way out in India working for the Indian broadcaster, of course, the ICC actually. I think it's who she's working for. International cricket is who she's working for at the moment, and she's able to cross to us after having done all the games live out in India. When we come back, we'll speak about the Springboks, because it turns out one of the most feared players in world rugby, the man who went into this Rugby World Cup known as the best player in the world, will be available for France against the Springboks.
Sports Night Amplified with Andile on Metro FM.
Ferdinand out in Woodbank. Ferdinand.
The weekend that was.
The weekend that was, my brother.
Yeah, I get a match 6
Bye-bye, Ferdinand. Who do we have on the line?
But hey, Mr. Ref.
But you had an opportunity, 5-5 penalties, no referee involved in that, and you still lost that too.
That game was supposed to be finished on 90 minutes if we have a fair referee.
Yeah, Kaiser Chiefs feel the same, man.
Exactly.
No, but now you can't lose wrong, Andy.
2 wrongs can't make no right now.
6 to 7 p.m.
Bringing out the heavy artillery, it's René Swart, the rugby commentator, as well as Lawrence Sepaka, former Springbok prop, who now join us to speak all things rugby. But before that, let me play you this. This is Faf de Klerk on what to be expected from this French team.
We know France a bit better as a team now, and how they've we had a closer eye on them over the last year and see how they've evolved as well. And I think we've got a better understanding of how they want to play. So we obviously have worked out a few things to hopefully counter that, and hopefully we can get some advantage of all the hard work we've been doing behind the scenes. But yeah, it's still going to be a massive challenge. They're a great side, and we're really looking forward to a massive clash in France.
The two gents join me now, René Swart as well, as well as Lawrence Sepaka. Lawrence, thank you so much for joining us and welcome to the show, guys. Always great to have you on a Tuesday when we speak all things rugby and Rugby World Cup.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Lawrence, you sent me this and I've been looking at it and I was online watching it anyway. The team of the pools, so what Rugby World Cup does, World Cup Rugby, is they go and they look at the pool matches, all 4 that are played by every single team, and they choose the best 15 team of the pools, each position getting a player. And I looked at it, and yeah, there's a lot of players that should be here, Lawrence. There's a lot of players that deserve to be here. But at the same time, I look at a DuPont, for instance, I'm like, come on, guys, with the games that he played, does he really deserve to be here? And then there's no Springbok.
Yeah, actually, these things I always say, if you've worked with kids before and you deal with selections and things like that, how to get someone up after being disappointed by some sort of selection always tell them those things are always subject to whoever decided to choose. Because you don't know what background, what sex they use. I mean, the boy doesn't play a couple of games. Surely it cannot be on this term. Maybe the first 2 matches, maybe where he plays. But he can't still be on top of the world when he's taking a break with the other players.
Unlikely, unbelievable, actually. No. Speaking of DuPont, from what we're hearing, he's going to be available for the game against South Africa, Renier. This is a man that is one of the most feared players in the world right now, ranked as one of the best rugby players at the moment. He's the show. He's what people went and gonna go to the matches to see. He's a dangerous player. He really is worth the salt. He's good. We saw him in that first match. Even up until he got injured, we're able to see why it is that he's ranked so highly. A good omen for France. Not so sure how it transfers to the Springboks. What do you make of his return?
Yes, I think, thank you, Andile, and thank you for taking part again. I think that obviously it's a good injection for them to have Antoine Dupont to come back in the team. He is a fabulous player. But you must always remember, there's an old saying that says, one swallow doesn't make a summer. And yes, he is a good player. He's lifting the mood of the whole French team, coming back, playing against the world champions. I make of him. But you must also remember that Maxime Luc, who played in his position, really had a wonderful game.
He really did.
And he was really on top of the game. So they've still got a very good scrum half in him. I don't know if Dupont is really that well. Everybody says it, but an injury like that he got in the game against Namibia was a bad injury, and let's see what happens. But as you say, he's a wonderful player, but I don't think he's the one that we must be worried that much about. Yes, we should be worried, but not that much.
Plays his rugby in Toulouse, of course, the captain of the French national team, 26 years old and renowned as one of the best in the world at the moment. Lawrence, we're able to see him in that opening match when they played New Zealand. We know what this man can do.
No, listen, it's something special, no doubt about that. But obviously, but actually France at some point will crumble with that in the mix. But clearly there's some good players in their setup that actually seem to understand their system. I suppose anyone who can jump in any position be able to do the job. But remember now, the pool stages is gone. This is a do-or-die situation. And seems like the Springboks are trying to put a red dot on top of him to sort of make him an easy target. They clearly focus is going to be on him, try to put him on a pedestal, make him feel special and stuff like that. Obviously, they've got a plan for him by the look of things. We'll see how they deal with him as well. But I also think this game, you don't focus on an individual player, but you might be catching the wind right now because you're on top of the world. That's the easy thing to do, because that's what happens when you're on top of the world. Everyone has got eyes on you. But the problem is now, there's a lot happening beneath him that sometimes you're not even aware of. But the Springboks certainly shouldn't be focused on what the French do. They've got problems in terms of certain things they need to fix going forward. Hopefully they've actually got time and touch on that. Why should they do that and focus on their game? On a good day, no one can actually stand with the Springboks physically, technically. And if everything is on song on that day, everyone is at a perfect mental state. Because I think that's the toughest job for a coach is to get those players in sync to be on song on certain things that matter. And I think the French will probably lose the physical battle. But skill-wise, technically, how mentally strong they are, it's subject for another day. But I think physically, you need to come into them.
When you look at what the road to the final looks like, you got England and Fiji. They'll play each other. Whoever wins there plays the winner in the semi-finals between South Africa and France. It seems a good route for us. The strong game there, the difficult game there, I would think is France. I don't think we should struggle against England or Fiji, depending on what happens in there. It's such a great opportunity to see the greatest match ever played here, because I'm assuming, looking at how things stand here, Nir, that surely it's going to be New Zealand or Ireland in the final. I don't see anything standing in those two's way.
Yeah, no, I also don't think so. I don't think Argentina or Wales will stand in any one of those two winners' way. So one of the two is going to be in the final. They are just a top team. I think these two quarterfinals of this weekend, the two last quarterfinals, the one of New Zealand and Ireland and the one of South Africa and France, is just, it could have been the final. Any one of those games could have been the final.
And probably, the winners out of that will probably be the final.
The winners out of that will probably be in the final, yeah. Because if you look at the other side pools, really, and you look at their games that they played, they couldn't come close to what happened in this Pool A and Pool B.
Lawrence,
but
sorry.
But there's another thing that we should actually touch on, Andile. You know, the psychological thing of us playing France. A few years back, not long ago, France actually bought the votes in order to not let South Africa have the World Cup. It's a thing that we should bring up, and I'm sure it's a thing on the mind of a lot of South Africans.
You'll never let that go, huh?
It's a fact. That's what happened.
It's a grudge match. This a special one for Renier even.
But now it's a very good opportunity for South Africa to let rugby win. There's no votes on that field. It's going to be a match between the two of the best sides in the world, and I think we've got a point to prove on rugby as South Africa in this specific match.
I want to get into South Africa and that specific match and the fact that the team is getting announced as late as it's getting announced. But I want to go back to the Fiji-Portugal game for a little bit here. Was it Fiji-Portugal? Am I saying it right? Is that the match that you and I were speaking about, Lawrence?
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic game. I think for me, that's the game of the pools. That was a match worth every single cent for those that were watching that game. Those in the stadium, they will never forget that match. Portugal winning their first match at the World Cup. Fiji knowing that they need at least a point out of that, or a bonus point, something to win that end-to-end stuff. It almost seemed, Lawrence, what a match.
Listen, before you go there, I just want to bring a point to what the Ramirez said. Listen, if France can buy the vote to host the World Cup, I don't think they have a problem dealing with the spineless ref in terms of getting into this game, because that's the biggest problem for this match. It could become an anticlimax, because they could have chosen a ref with a better spine to handle that match in particular, but I don't think we've got the right ref for that particular game.
Ben O'Keefe is going to be a ref, yeah.
No. He's got no spine at all. I think he needs to get a spine. And he need a strong ref for this game. I think Barnes would have done a better job. But let's move on to what
you don't think he's a good ref? You don't think is a ref strong enough for a match of this caliber?
Go back to the Ireland game. And then we've spoken in length about it. Obvious things that you need to do it. And you could see after him, other referees telling other scrummers, listen, don't trap him, don't buy it. Because I won't give it. Because you can see when someone is buying a penalty. You can see when someone is infringing. The ref is there, you can see. But he was so nonchalant because it's a crunch game and he didn't handle it like a crunch game. I know you have to stick to the law to the T, but you must also be able to tell rubbish to the bushes as to what's rubbish and what's not rubbish. You understand? I mean, when someone can move, you can say. When someone can't move, you can also say it. But you couldn't make those hard calls that you needed to make. For me, that's a big problem when you come to a match like that. Because remember, I'm not talking about a brown envelope now. I'm talking about the French crowd is going to let him know when he steps wrong or right, depending who he steps for. You understand? Yeah. So if he can't really understand that part, it's going to be difficult for him. So he really needs to be strong for this fight. So I hope he's meditating because he's going to need it. But let's go back to what you asked me.
Yeah, no, it was a good point to make. I mean, the referee plays a huge role and a huge part, and that's why leadership in terms of Siya Kolisi is going to be strong here, because not only are you playing with the ref that's already refed your game that you're unhappy with, but he's got the pressure of the home team. So it is going to be a tricky one to see how he navigates that. And
for that matter, he's got Dupont. I mean, Dupont's not going to keep quiet. He's going to be up in all the time, and that's where the ref made a lot of mistakes around the scrums and around the looses, and I think you're quite right, Lawrence. It's a thing that we'll have to look at very, very close. Man from New Zealand is going to be in the middle there when we do take on France. But let's move on from him a little bit here, Lawrence, and perhaps focus on the Springboks and the selection.
We don't. This is. I can't with all honesty sit here and say I know. I mean, you asked me about the French 15. I could possibly tell you the 15 and I'll probably get 1 or 2 wrong. New Zealand is the same. I could give you that. Ireland is the same. I could give you that and I'll probably get 1 or 2 wrong. I can't do that with the Springboks simply because of how we've selected our players and how we've changed them around and how we've mixed them up in the 4 matches we've played. Oh, Lawrence, I can't hear you there. Let's try get Lawrence back on the line. In the meantime, while we do that, Ranier, are you there?
I am still here.
Yeah. When you look at the 15 that's going to be picked, I can't say that I know who's going to start. I mean, they're the obvious ones like, CF, Faf, etc. But I couldn't give you the 15.
No, it's going to be quite difficult. I think you can really come close to the forwards and who will be on the bench. Because on the forwards, it's either the one or the other one that has to play. You can be sure that Bongi Mbonambi is going to start. You can be sure on the props that it will either be Kitshoff or even Nyakani could start. But on the props and on the lock forwards, I also think that it's a given that Itzbeth will be playing,
of course,
and most probably with Mostert. But when it comes to the back line, it's a guess. Your guess is as good as mine, because I really don't know how he's going to formulate his back line. Yes, I think he will start with Pollard, with Mani on the bench, which is not a bad thing. If Pollard doesn't really, like Lawrence last week said, he's still a little bit undercooked. And it's a good thing to start with him. But Mani will be there and Pollard will be there. But the main thing is on the centre combination. What are we going to do? To me personally, I think a Moody Esterhuizen combination will be quite good to get two giants in the midfield. I think it could be a good thing. They can control Jonathan Dante. Dante is going to be selected for them, and as well as Vital. And I think that will be my selection. But on the wingers, yeah, it's touch and go. I don't know what we're going to do.
Jeez, Ranier, Andre Esterhuizen and Canon Moody to start. Okay.
I will start them.
Okay.
I will start them.
Lawrence?
I will definitely start them in my selection. And that's moving back to games that they played. Moody hasn't had all the opportunities in the last game he's played with Andre, but I think the two of them in the midfield is a very good combination.
Lawrence, you've been listening in on that.
Yes, certainly our life. You talk about selection. Just a quick answer on the one question you asked before the network played tricks on me. I think Fiji was basically surviving in that game. They knew what they needed to do. They didn't want to win the game, but they didn't have to do what they needed to do. But I could move on to that. They were really not inspiring or confidence for their countries, but I think they should be worried because playing England, maybe they wanted to do that to pull England. Would like to see that though. But moving on to the Springboks. Obviously with the Springboks, they like consistency. They like tried and tested. I don't know how they would have walked around with a few things we've been having issues with in terms of Pietersteph. Pietersteph is a workhorse. But I don't think at that level you need to be a workhorse if you're not technically sound. Because you need to be clinical in areas where they were really lacking. At that time they were lacking. So I don't know how they're going to deal with that issue in making sure they're clinical there. Maybe they've worked on it. There's just a bit of detail that need to actually clear up there. And at the front row, if I look at it, I would have gone with Ox. Because Antonio is a former scrummer. And the scrummer was actually very strong. We need someone who's strong as well. I think my problem with the kickoff, I know he's done that. He knows he's a bit tall as well. But I think he needed Ox here to get underneath that French tactic and get into his growth. No one has got into his growth yet and tenderize a little bit better. Because what happened with the kickoff at the moment, technically, his head is facing downwards instead of actually upwards. He's stretching his neck. He's exposing himself. He's coming with his cough. So that actually disadvantages us, and he's a bit tall as well. So it counts if you're playing as a short prop, is even a worse problem. But I suppose Antonio is a big man. He probably will manage to get underneath him. Not that he's not capable, but I think Ox would have been a better option. I'm not disappointed with the mid-section locked. But obviously, loose forward for me, they still need to find a way to deal with the racking situation if they intend to keep the ball, unless they're going to kick and depend on their defense and then smash people to pieces. Then that plan might work with the losses they have currently. But when they want to keep the ball, they really need to keep it close to the post, and everyone must be hands on deck to make sure they clear. Moving backwards, I understand what obviously the coach will be thinking. You want to have the fitter flyers finishing the game in case you need to chase or in case you need to really, be sharp when the chips are down. So they might still go with Pollard and have Liebok to cover his bases when things go pear-shaped. But if it's good enough, mid-section. But the one thing as well, for me, that it hasn't been really solid. I mean, the midfield, the near is actually clear that the 12-13 combination hasn't gelled to perfection, but I don't know what the trick is there. But I think the land has been underperforming to what we've seen him do. And Jesse Krill, I think, is a soldier. You probably survive a lot with him there because you get to do whatever you want him to do as a coach. And but I would have looked at that inside position. Maybe they'll even move Pollard there and have what's his name, Dalenda being on the bench and see what he can operate there as soon as wheels run off, and then he can always come off and Dalenda come on, because I think Dalenda can play from the bench. And Liebok can start, and then obviously if something happens to Liebok, and then Pollard can always move up, or what's his name, the fullback can move to Flash as well, so they've got options there. And then obviously in that department, I think I'm not expert to deal with that, but from my point of view, that's what I pick up. They can maneuver, but like at the end of the day, if they simplify their game plan, or play the game plan they're all comfortable with, I don't think no team can stand with us. And they saw that first time tackling is on point, and obviously depending how the French play, they quick rack, they operate on quick rack, they don't trade racks. So if the solid defending is going to be hit and stick and hold people up to buy defense some time, they might actually work for their favor and have an arm wrestle there, but I think the French might have a problem dealing with that. But we have to see just suggestions we're making what they could do and what we see, maybe what they can do. So that's my angling thing at this point.
Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll finish off the conversation. If you want to be a part of it, just give us a shout and let's include you. We're speaking about the Springboks. We're speaking about the World Cup in its entirety. I've got Renier Swart as well as Lawrence Parker. So you can give us a shout on 086 000 2160. WhatsApp on 060 552 7303.
Sports Night Amplified with Andile on Metro FM.
The champions are in the building. Maswangai Patrick as well as Kermit Erasmus are with us. Did going to Spain help?
Yeah, definitely.
He is Mazola Malefe.
Yeah, he had to pack his bag pretty quickly.
Yeah. What would you say going to Spain did for you? What being there, playing against that opposition, training there, what do you think that did for you guys?
I think it helped us a lot, especially in improving on where to move, the space, the right passes. And I think being there, playing against the best teams also, it also improves our level of thinking also. You need yourself to be at a high level of thinking. So,
yeah, Kermit is so proud of him.
I mean
6 to 7 p.m. Call Metro FM now on 0860 002160.
Let's go to Tsecho. Tsecho's out in Pretoria. Wants an opportunity to speak to Renier as well as Lawrence. Tsecho, hi, welcome.
How's it?
No, I'm good, man. The guys are here.
Yeah, you better stop saying if we win the World Cup, eh? You better stop that. Please.
But are you telling me that from what you've seen so far in the 4 matches we've played, you're as confident as before the World Cup started?
Hey, buddy, we're the Springboks, eh? You must never underestimate.
Timmy, please take Tsecho's number, please.
Please. You're going to call me 28th of October. You better call.
I will. Speak to the guys. What are you thinking?
I just want to make a comment, man. My comment is basically just wishing the Springboks best of luck for this game. It's not going to be easy. It might be even go to a point difference of us winning the match, but it's not going to be easy. And I just want to say good luck to the boys, man.
Who do you start with, Mani or Andre?
Andre.
Why?
How can I? Why Andre?
You think it's better? You think do you think the kick is going to be important? Do you think it's going to? Why?
With the match, with pressure-wise, I think he'll be able to handle the pressure much better, because you must understand, we're playing the host, and playing the host, it comes with a lot of pressure. Even France, they obviously want to win because they chill at home. So the pressure will be two times more on us than them. So I think Andile will do very well.
All right, I appreciate it, Sako. Thanks so much all the way out in Pretoria, telling me to stop saying if and start saying when. Put some respect on the Springboks name. Johnston is out in Cape Town. Johnston, thank you so much for joining us and welcome to the show.
Hi, how are you, Andile?
Yeah, no, I'm good, man. I've got the best in the business here. Talk to them.
Good. You know what? I really do appreciate the way the Springboks are, united. And the way they are united, there is nothing that we can lose from them. And let's not underestimate them. They are going through.
Going through to the semis or going through all the way?
They're going through all the way. Their spirit to me, it shows that they are conquerors. They're still going to go. To underestimate them.
All right, Johnston, out in Cape Town. Thank you so much.
I wish Andile, the spirit they have should be the same spirit in all the sports in South Africa, especially into our soccer. We still need spirit. We still need, the squad that will take us somewhere.
Yeah, man, listen, yes, what the Springboks have been able to achieve, spirit. What they've been able to achieve over not just this year, but over a decade, over 20 years almost, is something that was built from the ground up. And it would be nice to see somebody come in and doing that with a different sporting code so that we have more than one world champion in South Africa. But Johnston in Cape Town, thank you so much for that one. I appreciate it. I want to take CC last, man. Should we take CC last? Let's go to Andile quickly. Andile's in Cape Town as well. No, easy, man. Talk to me.
In this game, we need to always make sure that we don't put pressure to those who already have the pressure. For example, when it comes to Pollard, I don't think he has more pressure than the other guy. Due to that, he's become a super sub after Pollard has been in that one game, of which I'll use that one game as one that he showed us what he can do. As a super sub. Sometimes he's already have a pressure of the other game that we didn't win. So if ever you're going to throw him again as the first one, then we're going to end up, maybe if ever he make one mistake, then the whole team is going to feel the pressure.
So you agree with Renier and all the callers. Start with Andre Pollard and then have Mani come off the bench.
Yes. Give Andre just to release the pressure from our super sub. Otherwise, our super sub is on par when Pollard is there.
All right, cool. The last one. Let's take Cici. Cici's out in Middelburg. Thank you so much, Mandile. There. Let's go to Cici. Cici, you're the last one. Always look forward to your calls. Shoot.
Hi, Andile.
Hey.
Yeah, I hope you're good. Yeah, I think this one is going to be a grudge match because if you remember last year, in the autumn series, France beat South Africa. There was a very dodgy penalty try that was awarded by Bryce Lawrence.
Gee whiz, I never want to cross you and Renier. The way you hold on to grudges.
No, I'm agreeing with Renier. This is definitely a grudge match. So yeah, let's hope Brian O'Keefe is just going to stay out of it and refs the match as he sees it. Because we know how referees tend to interfere and make the game become a little bit, they put off fans with their decision making. But then for South Africa, I think a couple of players that I think need to be in the starting lineup. For instance, Andre Ace, and I think we need him in the center. We need Dwayne Vermeer, and we shouldn't leave him behind. Damien Damon Willems at the back, number 50. Mani, I think I would start with Mani. Mani gives us attacking options.
You'd start with Mani?
I would start with Mani. He gives us attacking options.
But then again, Renier, if you remember, Cece is the one that said perhaps they both play. I think you said 10 and 12 is what you said the last time we had a conversation. Ooh, my lines seem to have all gone pork-shaped, yeah? All right.